und der Bildschirm ist mit der Kamera verbunden und je nach Winkel und bla wandert das hinten halt so mit und dann bist du quasi in der Szene drin. Holy sh... Also, Future of Cinema, wollen wir? Geht 12 Minuten. Das kriegen wir hin, oder? Das schaffen wir. So, Future of Cinema, ihr seht's. Future of Cinema, Epic Games gave us an in-depth Tour of the Volume, der Virtual Set Tech. Volume heißt das? The Volume. Okay, bin ich gespannt. Okay, lass reingehen. Future Cinema.
Now we've put this very professionally with zip ties and duct tape onto a flashlight. And we are able to strap a spotlight in Unreal that looks exactly like a flashlight fall off. And literally just have that come to life in the scene in real time.
Was? Warte mal. Die haben so ein Ding auf die Kamera gespannt und auf die Taschenlampe gespannt und können damit so tun, als wäre es eine Taschenlampe. Und das war nur der Anfang gerade, glaube ich, ne? Das war noch aus dem Video irgendwie, das war nur...
Have that come to life in the scene in real time.
Voll geil.
So Mike, we are on the coolest playground I've ever seen personally. You are the expert here, so walk us through what this is. I know I have one on my phone, but how is this different?
Essentially, this is a very expensive motion captured camera. A lot of bells and whistles, and it's very light for testing. You see we have a rig rail, we have some pieces on top, and of course we have our lenses that we can play with just like you can at home with some basic photography stuff. The difference being that we are tying this directly into Unreal Engine, so we can capture live footage.
Ich will so einen Raum. Das würde mir als Holodeck schon reichen. Ich will einfach so einen Raum. Wie geil ist das denn einfach? Du kannst aber jeden Tag in Japan sein, auf Hawaii oder sonst irgendwo.
With a digitally tracked environment. What we have here is what I like to call the Sputnik. A lot of other studios will call it a mine, some will call it a satellite, but it is a constellation of infrared markers sitting on a metal frame and then measured to the distance of the lens. So in Unreal, there's a camera sitting here, and we've told it to essentially move down in distance to the front of the camera here so we can track it on the wall. Each of these little ping pong ball markers are active, which is the difference between a motion capture suit ping pong ball marker and something that we need to be picked up by the computer and be sub-millimeter accurate at all times. What I'd like to explain next is that while we are tracking this in digital space, the accurate lens focus and aperture, so if I could have one of you gentlemen please stand on the blue little triangle markers back there. And if you guys like to go on the show again here. Essentially, I can focus on you, and then the digital content will be physically and perspectively accurate. And then I can dial you down in darkness or brightness from there, all on the physical camera. Now, all this data is getting beamed back to my control station in the back and recorded in Unreal as well. So we can do live comp and digital comp in real time. So after I'm done with this, we can call cut, we can send this off to a vendor, we can work on it ourselves, and it will always be the same shot. Say we messed something up, we have to come back 3 months later, I wore the wrong tie. The lighting is always going to be the same. You're not traveling with a team of 150 people out to the desert and only shooting for 15 minutes of sunlight. You are saving countless hours, and the accuracy and continuance of the scene is going to be accurate. No one's going to say, oh, there's my Starbucks cup that I left in scene 8. You know, that can always be moved. So I'm going to boom a little bit to the right and left and just...
Das wäre so geil für ein Streaming-Studio, ne? Das wäre so geil für ein Streaming-Studio. Entschuldigung, natürlich völlig over. Ich weiß nicht selber, ja, sind wir uns alle einig. Das wäre völlig over und völlig wahnsinnig. Aber es wäre so geil. Oh, wie cool das einfach, diese Technik. Du hast einfach hinten so einen richtig geilen Bildschirm und der Bildschirm ist mit der Kamera verbunden und je nach Winkel und bla wandert das hinten halt so mit. Und dann bist du quasi in der Szene drin. Holy sh... Warte mal 10 Jahre, dann vielleicht. Oh Mann! Mann. Okay, pass auf, Folgendes. Ich werde heute jünger, nicht älter. Voll geil. Warum nicht Greenscreen? Weil du bei Greenscreen ist das Bild immer statisch im Hintergrund. Das bewegt sich nicht mit, bla bla bla. Du kannst nicht, also theoretisch kannst du Sachen obwohl das, wenn es im Hintergrund Unreal ist, dann wird es eigentlich gehen. Aber trotzdem musst du es ja mit der Kamera irgendwie verbinden. Ich bin da leider viel zu wenig drin. Also theoretisch müsste es auch mit Greenscreen gehen, da hast du schon recht. Das müsste theoretisch gehen, aber ja. Du brauchst auch mal einen großen Fernseher.
In perspective. This allows me to go around corners. What you couldn't do before with LED technology as your backdrop for productions was really explore the environment. You were stuck with just
Stimmt, den Greenscreen muss man nachbearbeiten. Also deswegen fizzle ich ja manchmal auch so. Und gerade bei den Haaren so ist es schwierig. wäre besser, wenn man quasi in der Szene ist, indem man vor dem Bildschirm ist quasi. Und der Bildschirm, also die Unreal Engine, die da hinten ausspielt, quasi dann so verbunden ist. Genau, dann wäre die Beleuchtung auch gar kein Problem, weil dann würde man quasi nur die Szene abspielen. Ich wäre jetzt nicht hier vor der, okay, das ist schwierig. Es wäre nicht 2 Layer, sondern es wäre nur noch ein Layer, den man auch nachbearbeiten kann mit Effekten. Und dann würde es genauso aussehen. Und ja, das ist ein riesiger Bildschirm bei denen. Ja, ja, ja.
Now you can actually punch in. You can have the stage travel down a road for an infinite car.
Ich bin mir aber nicht sicher. Das müsste ein Bildschirm sein. Es ist kein Beamer oder sonst irgendwas, ne? Weil hier sind die ganzen Lampen und so und ein Beamer, der müsste ja hier oben an der Decke sein. Und hier oben an der Decke ist einfach ein anderer Bildschirm. Wenn ich das richtig sehe. Deswegen sieht er hier so komisch aus, so abgeschnitten. Das müsste riesen LED-Wand. Ja, ist schon geil. Ah, schon geil.
There's a lot more to explore here. Now, the shift may seem a little exaggerated here, but what's happening is the engine is calculating via...
Und ich glaube, hier siehst du immer genau, der Rahmen ist, glaube ich, das, was die Kamera einfängt, wenn ich das richtig sehe. Das müsste quasi genau das Kamerading sein. Und das wird direkt drauf projiziert von dem, was die Kamera sieht. Ne? Also das hier wird dann direkt, das ist schon voll geil.
End display, which is the IP that allows this to be solved. And solving for the correct perspective to always be in place on the monitor here. We also have props that we can use. So what this is an OptiTrack puck. This has a flat 4-star constellation with passive markers. So this is just, the camera's just picking up the infrared. It's not pulsating at a micro frequency and being identified. Now we've put this very professionally with zip ties and duct tape onto a flashlight.
Jetzt kommt das.
And we are able to strap a spotlight in Unreal that looks exactly like a flashlight fall off and literally just have that come to life in the scene in real time.
Oh man.
And I can walk up to the wall and this will get a little smaller there. And you can see I'm losing signal because I'm going inside the camera frame, but go ahead and give that a 1-2.
Wow, I'm like a real life Tomb Raider here.
So that illuminates in depth. You are, as I said, in a 3D environment. This is a window and not necessarily a wall, and that's the best way to kind of think about the ICVFX space. Is you can explore anywhere, you can do anything. It is a game engine. It's an if-then logic statement. So there's no limits to what you can do aside from the speed and optimization of the content.
Geil.
Okay, we turn the flashlight on. It's a little weak, doesn't really match the color.
Theoretisch auch geil für Games. Kannst ja auch mit der Knarre das gleiche machen. Das gab es früher schon mit diesen Pistölchen, wo man auf den Bildschirm gezielt hat immer, die dann so einigermaßen akkurat waren. Aber theoretisch kannst du hier dann auch wieder Ballett machen.
But if you need to do a pickup and say, oh man, it's sure is dark over there. I don't know what I need to do. I'm just going to do this and then turn off the light and now we have that there. Wow. So there are ways you can explore certain shots in whatever film or digital piece you're doing and get creative with it.
So, like, obviously we see this blue frame. Do you have what's the technical term?
Yes, so this is what's called the inner frustum. Now, if you were to take a box and expand it up to the wall from the camera lens, that's essentially what you're seeing here. So this starts to bow out because it's on a curved surface, but the camera and Unreal Engine are solving that to put that back into a perfectly square option for final recording.
I can't stress enough, I am a dummy and an idiot. Oh. What are all of these sensors? I mean, they have to play a very important role.
Yeah, so these are essentially what you see in your generic motion capture volume, right? Infrared cameras have been around for a very, very long time. We just kind of repurpose these for tracking whatever we need for motion capture data. That's essentially it. That's the magic behind the sauce here, is because if you don't have this data flowing into Unreal or flowing...
Was hier noch dazwischen steht, du hast ja auch mehrere Schauspieler, die dann zusammen eine Szene machen, aber du hast ja so viele Tracker, das dürfte eigentlich kein Problem sein.
We're stuck with just a background. There's no perspective change. So the more cameras
you have... Wie soll es bei Games gehen? Es geht um Filme und Serien. Darum geht es gerade. Das hier ist kein Spiel, sondern so werden Filme und Serien gedreht. Genau, Mandalorian zum Beispiel. Mandalorian wurde genau so gedreht.
Shooting into a volume, the more coverage you get. The more coverage you get, the smaller distance you can track. So we have an abundance of cameras here just to kind of help us out with all of
Wenn jemand zwischen der Taschenlampe steht, bei der Taschenlampe hast du oben die weißen Bällchen gesehen, ne? Diese kleinen weißen, hat er auch erklärt. Die werden getrackt von den Motion-Dingern da oben. Ja.
Research, development, innovation and testing that we do here at the lab.
How big is, like, you're sending to the vendors, you can come back, you can tweak it. I mean, it's all super collaborative and like easy to edit. How big are these files? Like, what's the data like?
So it really depends on what you're shooting. A scene like this that's static, there's no massive crowd, it's pretty lightweight. You're just tracking the camera movement, and I can export just the camera. So you know, you can work on this on your home file. You can work on a Pentium 5 processor and just keep going like the old days. Or you could send the entire world, and you know, you're looking at 20 to 100 gigs, depending on how complex you're doing it, which is pretty light considering today's gaming updates.
Yeah.
So it really depends on what you're shooting.
Like Mario Kart.
The footage, though, on the camera is really going to hit you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're working with professional Hollywood quality equipment. We're trying to squeeze every pixel for its last drop. So that's where you start getting hard drives worth of data for maybe 10 minutes of shooting.
Was there like a major difference when you use Unreal Engine 5 for games versus using Unreal Engine 5 for movies and TV? Like, what's the big difference there?
The thought process and how you approach it. It's still a gaming process. Like the speed is the most important. The content has to be up to speed in order to match the 24 FPS that we're going to record for film or TV. You have to think of what you're going to do for the shot as well. In Hollywood, you don't build the entire world. You just build what you want to see in camera and whatever that camera move is going to be. So if the director on the day says, you know what, this shot's just not working out, let's flip 180 degrees and there's no world, suddenly you're back at square one. So thinking of it like a game environment and building a city in its complexity for like a 4-block radius or something like that.
Was ich mich gerade frage, nehmen die mit der Kamera die Szene direkt auf, also die Schauspieler und dahinter halt auch den Bildschirm? Oder ist das so, dass man, ja, wird direkt aufgenommen? Weil ich habe gedacht, oder ist das vielleicht so, dass die Schauspieler aufgenommen werden und eventuell die Daten, also zum Beispiel Winkel, Helligkeit, Beleuchtung, bla 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 von der Szene, und man nachträglich noch, wenn es aufgenommen ist, nachträglich noch Sachen einarbeiten kann. Das hat mich gerade interessiert. Wenn die Szene schon gemacht ist, ob man dann nachträglich sagen kann, okay, das ist noch ungeil, okay, wir können aber nachträglich im Hintergrund noch Sachen einfügen. Das würde mich interessieren. Das nachträgliche Bearbeiten fällt weg. Ja, aber auch das ist möglich. Aber das geht ja nicht, wenn das digital schon in Videoform irgendwo aufgenommen ist. Dann wird ja theoretisch der Hintergrund ja nur, also nicht als Videoformat aufgenommen, sondern eher als Daten quasi. Schwierig, das zu erklären. Das sind 2 Spuren, die man einzeln bearbeiten kann. Genau das wäre meine Frage gewesen. Und wenn du bei der einen Spur noch was nachträglich anarbeitest, dann ist die eine Spur ja quasi kein Video, sondern wahrscheinlich wirklich nur so Winkel, XY, bla, sowas halt. Spannend. Hat er vorhin schon mit dem Starbucks-Becher als Beispiel gebracht, dass Nachbearbeitungen möglich sind. Das heißt, sie nehmen wirklich eine Spur als Daten auf, wahrscheinlich eher. Und nicht direkt als Video. Und dann wird es hinterher erst rausgerendert, quasi. Eine Spur das Filmmaterial des Schauspielers und die andere die Engine vermutlich. Das glaube ich halt auch irgendwie. Ich weiß nicht genau wie, keine Ahnung. Die werden es schon wissen. Hat mich gerade nur interessiert, ob man die Szenen halt noch nachträglich, noch wenn es aufgenommen ist, ob man da noch Änderungen machen kann.
And planning for that,
Weil es wird sich anbieten in dem Fall.
Where games really contributes to the Hollywood process. We leave room for plan B, C, D through Z.
I love the idea of like you build these massive world for your movie. Let's plug that immediately in and make the game version. We can release that when the movie comes out.
Exactly. Yeah. Have you noticed how much shorter the time between the game release and the DVD release and all the pickups have come? Like, this is exactly it. All the VR experiences.
Yeah, we had the Matrix Awakens demo before the movie even came out.
That's true. That's true. All right, I want to play with Sputnik now. How do we do it?
All right. So we might
just give me something I can break.
So currently I'm in the environment. I am taking this flashlight that we were just tracking.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn off the flashlight's projection so it does not affect our world. And I'm going to tell the flashlight to stop listening to this OptiTrack puck. And now I'm going to tell our camera B that we don't have displayed yet to start looking for that OptiTrack puck. So let's step out front.
Do it. Wow.
All yours,
I'm
sir.
Absolutely ready.
Go for it.
Okay.
Das heißt, die Kamera sucht jetzt seinen Trackpoint vom Flashlight.
Now this one you can see obviously the frostum is like, and that's because these aren't active, right?
Right. So the cameras are solving for passive markers. They're trying to, spend more computation power on that. It's also, as I said, sub-millimeters. So that shake in our hands is also the shake in the system. And then now you've passed the boundary to see. You see where the cameras are up here?
Yeah.
So the closer you get to that veil, and you've blocked it with your body, all these cameras back here cannot pick it up. All these cameras back here cannot pick it up. So there are rules, there are boundaries that we have to stay within when we're using ICV effects. There are puzzles for every shot.
Climb up. Oh. Go, go, go. I can't lift you too.
Aw.
Jackass. Okay.
Wow, just the parallax effect is insane.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
Like I can
we
like
just move over
I can
here.
see. Wait, go back here. I want to see around this rock. Let's see around this rock here. Oh yeah. I left my keys back there. There they are.
Geil.
And you can see,
Ah, schon
obviously,
geil.
because of the perspective of the camera, you can see how it's changing for our eyes.
Right. So that's exactly what we just talked about. If
Spannende
that were a
Zeiten.
photography
Das sind
lens
echt
or
spannende
a
Zeiten.
camera lens here, this bow would be perfectly straight in the final footage. Like, there would be no distortion problems.
Wie
But
editing
because we're
während
mapping
Film.
to a
Ja.
curved
Ja, ja,
surface
ja.
or even a linear one, it has to solve for that and then account for the nodal distortion.
And you broke it. $400,000.
It's been a theme this weekend.
I get this the whole time. I never touched it. Never me.
What we like to do with this as well is like you have a very heavy camera. It's 40 pounds that you could put on, you got to carry. I can take it off that gib and we can move it around. But prior to knowing what our shot is, I can take something as small as this and then just really get more dynamic action shots and track that. So if we have a
Ich will mehr
robotic
Beispiele
arm
sehen.
moving the camera on the day,
will mehr Beispiele sehen.
and I kind of want to get a sense for what that might look like before we program it, this is an easy and awesome iterative tool to get that going.
Does like actual reality annoy you now that you can't control it as much as you can control this?
A little bit, yeah. I've had the wireframe dream. I've gone outside, so that's fake. Yeah, all happens here.
Wait a minute, this floor isn't real?
It's the volume.
These are also screens.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Mike. This
No.
is insane. And
Magic.
it's a little bit of information overload. It's just
Oh,
like,
yeah,
what it
apologies.
takes to pull this off is truly magic. And I can't wait for people to get these tools in their hands.
Yeah.
Which they can, right?
They can right
They
now.
can. They
It's
can
all
do it. They
free.
can do it.
Yeah. So if you actually want to learn how to do this, this template, these project templates are free to download with the engine. All the objects that you see in here are through Megascans. Those are free as well. So you want to start kit bashing
Aber
new
man kriegt den
environments,
Bildschirm auch
throwing
umsonst?
them together like Lego sets. You can do this on
Ich
a
hätte
home
den Bildschirm
monitor
gerne
for,
umsonst, wenn das geht.
fairly cheap. Just
Yeah.
a simple
If you-
iPad or something is all you need.
Yeah, and if you want to go as like big a scale as this, you can get one of these torches real cheap. I'm selling them on my website. It's ign.com.
War schon cool, das mit der Taschenlampe war schon cool, aber ich hätte gern ein bisschen mehr Beispiele gesehen, vielleicht auch so Praxisbeispiele und so. Fand es jetzt schwer, sich das richtig vorzustellen. Ich habe verstanden, das mit der Kamera und so, Bipapo, habe ich schon verstanden, aber ich hätte gern ein paar mehr Beispiele noch gesehen. Das Mandalorian Making-of zum Beispiel, habe ich schon fast wieder vergessen, hatte ich mir damals angeguckt und da war ich richtig mindblown.